I'll get all my tabs organized.
All right, it is officially tweeted, and I
All right,
will retweet it.
I'll put it on the Book of Face,
And we are officially live to Twitch right now.
which I'm probably not going to be on. By that, I mean Facebook starting tomorrow because of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. If somebody spoils it for me, I swear I will go to their house and kick their ass.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to know anything. I don't want to hear anything. Please don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Well, it's interesting, and we could talk about it like once we officially start. But
Yeah.
you remember when the Force Awakens plot, like it leaked like 6 months before the movie came out, but this one has been extremely well guarded.
I'm pretty sure they put out probably several different versions that could possibly be leaked.
Yeah.
Just to throw people off the trail.
And we are talking Batman Returns tonight.
Yeah.
All right. It is published on the Facebook.
All right.
And I'm going to share it on my personal one as well as the Nerd Cave page.
All right. I've actually got another, there was a review for Batman Returns on Nintendo Life, if you wanted me to link that into the Google Doc.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me pull that in there. So do you like the way I cleaned up the Google Doc?
Yeah, it looks much better.
Awesome.
I went in and added a few more things like for future reviews for me, but it's organized so much better now.
I figure if we're going to have a lot of guests coming on next month, we need to have it streamlined so that they know what they're looking at.
Yeah, we don't scare them off.
Yeah. Like, what the hell am I looking at?
What? All right, that is shared on the Nerd Cave page.
Since you gave me the Mega Man news earlier this week, I'll let you start off with that one. We'll both take on Super Mario Serial, and then I'll do Nintendo Switch eShop's busiest release week.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, if you're ready to go, we can go ahead and get the show started.
I am ready. We're right at 7:30.
All right, here we go. Make sure. All right, get all the lag out. Yeah, I think we got all the lag out. Come on. There we go. Okay. Good to go. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. This episode of Nerd Cave Retro is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/nerdcave. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
You're listening to the Nerd Cave Network.
Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Nerd Cave Retro Show. My name is Jason Robbins.
And I'm Derek Diamond.
So it's been a pretty cool weekend for me. I'll let you, I'll go ask you first. What have you been doing this weekend, my friend?
It's actually been kind of a nice, we had a lot of stuff going on, but also a very fun weekend. Did my first 5K, official 5K that I've done in like 3 years, which was pretty cool, even though it was extremely cold. I don't know if you guys got any snow over there, but we got a little bit.
It's kind of funny. It didn't snow till right when I got home from work on Friday. And as soon as I pulled into the driveway, the flakes started because it was sleeting on my way home. And so I pull into the driveway and I'm like, that's snowflakes, like these nice, little fat snowflakes falling, like gently falling. And I'm like, I told Tina, I was like, it's snowing, come out and look. And it snowed for exactly about 3 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes. And then it stopped. I was like, oh, that's all we got.
You're like, why can't it be Christmas Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it snowed here early Saturday morning around like 2:30, 3 a.m. I didn't stay up for it because I was fighting a cold, so I didn't want to, stay up all night and then be sick for the next day. But
Yeah.
no, it was pretty cool to see. I saw plenty of Snapchats and Facebook pictures and all that stuff. So it was kind of like I stayed up and saw it.
Yeah, my brother
but no-
lives in Birmingham, and they got like a couple of inches. It was like winter
Oh, yeah.
wonderland up there.
Yeah. And then what else did I do Saturday? We had our Christmas parade here in town, and I was in it. And that was a lot of fun. And then we had we just had a small little Christmas get together with a few friends. Did Dirty Santa gift exchange, had food, all that fun stuff. So nice, chill, way to end the Saturday.
That's cool. Well, I didn't really do much because it was so cold. We didn't really feel like going anywhere or doing anything. So I went and loaded up on groceries before the storm hit, just in case we got stuck in the house for a few days. And I got lots of snacks and hot drink type stuff. And I bought some hot chocolate with the what do they call that, marshmallow cream, that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's gonna be good. And I got some brownies for National Brownie Day. So it's been a carb sugary weekend around here at the house. But my brother had sent down last week, well, actually for Thanksgiving. I didn't get to go see him for Thanksgiving, so he sent down with my parents who went and visited. He sent down a NES game that he got for me. He got me Blaster Master on NES, and played that a little bit last night, and it's great. It's still good. The undisputed gem of the Nintendo Entertainment System, so I'm happy about that. And then I went to the flea market today. It was freezing cold, but I did manage to pick up a copy of Ikari Warriors for the NES for about $8 I got it for. And I was going to pick up some more, but most of it was overpriced, and I figured $8 pretty good price for Ikari Warriors, so I went and picked that up. And I saw a guy there today who had Secret of Mana complete in box. He had Chrono Trigger complete in box. He had Super Star Wars complete in box. A couple other games that were complete in box. And I saw the Secret of Mana, and I just figured I'd ask. I was like, so how much you want the Secret of Mana for? And he's like, $100. I was like, whoo, that's a little out of my price range, so no thanks. And he said, well, I tell you what. He said, I will sell you the whole lot. I mean, I'm talking Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, Super Star Wars. I think he had, what did he have? I think it was Street Fighter 2 Turbo in box, like 6 games in the box. He was like, I'll let you have all 6 right now for $300. And I was like, that's tempting, but
That is very tempting.
I don't think I'd be able to live with myself if I dropped that amount of money at the flea market randomly on a Sunday afternoon. So I had to let him go. And, I'll get lucky one of these days and find some cool stuff in the box, but I couldn't pull the trigger on that one.
That is very tempting, though. I mean, 6 games complete in box for $300. That's. Would you have done it for $200?
Probably, yeah. I would have done it for $200. I could see.
Yeah.
200's reasonable, but 300, I'm just like, I just got a Nintendo Switch that I dropped $400 on. I'm like, I can't really justify that. But $200, I think I could have. I could spare the extra $200 to get a bunch of complete in-box games, and they were really good shape too. I mean, there was a little wear and tear on a few of them, but like the Chrono Trigger, the Secret of Mana, I mean, the boxes were almost immaculate. And I was
That's
really,
awesome.
really tempted, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, which I forgot to mention this since we did our last show. I told you off air, and I haven't really told that many people, but I got my first tattoo.
Mm-hmm. So are you gonna reveal it on the show?
Speaking of dropping money, I got it's something I've been going back and forth on for like a month or so. And I finally pulled the trigger on it. I got it Monday night. I'll post it on the Nerd Cave Retro Instagram page, but it's basically the Master Sword and the Hylian shield from Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, it looks awesome too. You actually are tempting me to get a tattoo of my own. Like, I've never gotten a tattoo. I always said, you know, when I was growing up, I was like, I'm not going to get a tattoo unless it's something that I absolutely know that I'm not going to mind it being on my body for the rest of my life. And honestly, I think I could probably get away with having a Nintendo logo somewhere.
That'd be cool.
So I'm thinking I might get a Nintendo logo somewhere. I'm not sure where yet, but I don't want to get it anywhere visible. I just want it, you know, to like people know that, you know me, know it's there. So I don't want to go flashing around a Nintendo tattoo or anything, but you know.
Well, if you do decide to do it, I will forewarn you, it does hurt.
I'm sure.
If you've heard any stories, I wasn't quite prepared for that because like I got it on my right calf, and right where the muscle really ends is where like the tip of the sword was. And right when the guy started to do the coloring for it, I had to bite down on my finger because it was, he even looked up at me, he's like, "Are you all right up there?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Okay. And then he just, it was, after like the first 10 minutes or so, it's not so bad. But there are times where like he'll take breaks to like, you switch out the ink and everything with colors and whatnot. And I'm like, dude, just don't stop. Just keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, my wife Tina has a big map of the world on her back. And it's like, you know, takes up a lot of her spine, and it goes across her shoulder blades. So she said that's actually the worst, is when they're going over somewhere that's close to bone. And I'm like, oh, like she's like, right on your spine is the worst. I'm like, I couldn't do it to myself. I'm too much of a wuss.
Well, she is much tougher than I am.
Yeah,
so
she's tougher than me.
Props to your wife for that.
But yeah, that pretty much encapsulated my weekend. I almost got a bunch of complete in-box games, but you know, I can't really justify that. You got your tattoo, so it's been a good week all around for the Nerd Cave Retro Show.
And this is my last full week of work, and then I am off for 2 weeks, so I'm so happy.
But I got stupid and told my boss I'd work a few days on my first week off, so I don't really get my vacation until Friday the 23rd or something like that. And then I get a week and a half off, so I just wanted to make a little extra money for Christmas. So you know how it is. Christmas presents get expensive when you got a lot of family. So
understandable.
Let's go ahead and move into news for this week.
So Mega Man 11 will arrive on consoles and PC in late 2018. A funny story about how I found this article. I was actually getting my tattoo done and looking at my phone to distract myself from the pain. And I just so happened to randomly find this article. And I was like, oh, Jason will love this. But this comes to us from Engadget.com. This month marks the 30th anniversary of the original Mega Man, which is crazy to think about, which came out for NES on December 17th, 1987. In a stream celebrating the milestone, Capcom had a couple of announcements, most importantly that Mega Man 11 will be coming to PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC in late 2018. But Capcom had another surprise in store for longtime fans. All 8 games in the notoriously difficult to find Mega Man X series will come to leading platforms. So you being the Mega Man fan that you are, what do you think of this news?
I'm all for it. I didn't get to play Mega Man 10. I really didn't get back into Mega Man until, recently, a couple of years ago. And I'm really excited about not only is Mega Man coming back to the Switch with Mega Man 11, but they have 2 Mega Man Legacy collections coming out in 2018. One of them is going to include Mega Man 1 through 6, while the second will have Mega Man 7 through 10, plus the DLC for the last 2 games in the series. I'm excited for that, to have all Mega Man games on, 2 games basically.
Yeah. No, I think doing it that way is the best, and you know, for longtime Mega Man fans, I know it's got to be
Yeah.
fantastic news.
And I really wish that they would have, since this is technically the 30th anniversary, they should have done it this year. They
I
should
agree.
have had those 2 legacy collections ready to go, because it would have been smarter to have those 2 collections come out for the holiday season this year, and then next year have hit with Mega Man 11. Or, release the first Mega Man Legacy Collection and now for Christmas, and then again in the late spring, early summer, and then you'll have people still ready for Mega Man 11 next holiday season. But, they do what they want to, I guess, so, and because that would have made more sense to me to do it like that, but, I'm not in marketing, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I still think the fact that they're actually doing it, is really cool. And I'm tempted to actually play Mega Man 11.
Are you sure?
Because there's one screen cap of it, and the animation, it's got a little bit of it's got a very cartoonish look to it, but I think that's fitting. It looks really good.
Yeah, it still looks 16-bit, but it looks a little more modern, and even said here somewhere that it looks it says akin to the newer Super Mario Brothers games, for like the Wii,
yeah, that's exactly what I think
Brothers.
of.
So yeah, it's got that kind of art style, which I'm totally okay with. So I'm excited for it. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm definitely going to get it. So it's Mega Man. Who's if you've never played Mega Man, you don't know, so go play Mega Man right now.
Do it.
And also, Nintendo released earlier, a couple weeks ago. We're a little late to this news, and we were actually going to try it on the show tonight, but we couldn't find it yet. So this is actually going to come up in the next couple of weeks. We're going to try this on the show. Coming to us from Nintendo.com, Super Mario cereal from Kellogg's makes breakfast a playful experience. With Super Mario Bros. Cereal, Nintendo and Kellogg's have teamed up to take fans on a breakfast odyssey that will continue long after the cereal box is empty. In addition to collectible Super Mario Odyssey box art, each Super Mario cereal box functions as an amiibo accessory, making breakfast a more playful experience. So they haven't really released anything else about this, but what exactly is the box going to do as an amiibo?
Well, for the most part, what the amiibos do is they just give you like extra items that you can add to your inventory. So say like they released a lot of amiibo for Super Smash Brothers, and one of those was Link. You can use that amiibo in Breath of the Wild, and like, items that you can cook, or like a bow, or some like a decent sword will drop in on a treasure chest. They'll just like randomly drop in front of you that you can pick up and add to your inventory. Yeah. So
okay,
it's not like a requirement. Some amiibos add a lot to games, but some are just very minor stuff. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with this. I haven't really found anything about it. But it'd be interesting to see. It's interesting that they're using like the actual box as the amiibo. I mean, you would think, they could go back to the old days when you could get a prize in your cereal, and they could do like an exclusive amiibo. I mean, it can even just be like one or two.
Yeah, well, that's
like you get an exclusive amiibo in the cereal box.
That's what I was actually thinking they were going to do when I first heard about this. Is like it would just be a toy in the box, and like random amiibos in the box, and that would actually create demand for the cereal. People looking for exclusive amiibos. But I guess the box itself is an amiibo, so I don't know if they're going to have... Do they even do cereal box toys anymore? Like prizes in the cereal box?
I have no idea.
I'm
out of touch when it comes to my cereal.
Like when I do get like a children's cereal, I get Captain Crunch, and it's never... I don't think I've ever gotten a toy in a Captain Crunch box.
No.
But speaking of the Super Mario cereal, did you ever get this Nintendo cereal system when you were a kid? Let me look it up and see what year that was.
Nintendo cereal system.
It was the Nintendo cereal that was released. Here it is, right here. Come on, Wikipedia. It's a breakfast cereal which was produced by Ralston Cereals in 1986 and discontinued in 1989. The name of the cereal is based on the NES and represents two of the most popular video games for the NES at the time, Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda. Over the years, the cereal has been sold as memorabilia for collectors on online auction sites at prices exceeding $100 per box. In 2010, a box was sold on eBay for over $200. And the box itself, if you look on the Wikipedia page, there were two different cereals in the box. You had two bags of cereal. You had the Super Mario cereal and you had Zelda cereal. And I don't know if you remember, they also, which reminded me of this, do you remember that they had Nerds cereal back in the day? And it was, the box itself was like a big Nerds box. You know, the candy Nerds,
yeah.
And there's like two different kind of flavors in the box. So the top of the box would open, either side, and you would get either, like strawberry on one side and like, grape on the other side. It was two different kind of cereals in the box, and that's pretty much what the Nintendo cereal was like. And I got to thinking about it, I was like, man, we had some horrible cereal when we were kids, man. Just like nothing but just sugar bombs.
I never had the Nintendo cereal system, but I do remember seeing it.
I did.
I think that might have been like right after my time, but I do remember I remember hearing about it, and I remember seeing, photos of the box, but I never actually had the cereal itself.
I got it one time, and then I never got it again. And then from that point on, because of that cereal, my parents would never let me get the kind of cereal I wanted ever again, because my dad had to finish the Nintendo cereal so it wouldn't go bad. So I was never able to get cereal ever again after that, because like, you won't eat it, I'll have to end up eating it. So I never could get my own cereal. So stupid Nintendo cereal, nasty stuff. It was nasty. I mean, I remember very vividly, it was like, it had the texture of like Captain Crunch, but it was like eating cardboard. It was like no flavor to it whatsoever. It was like you ever had King Vitaman cereal?
No.
Or
it just
Kix.
didn't look appetizing at all.
Yeah, like Kix cereal. Like everybody always talked about how good Kix cereal was for you, but it was nasty. It's like the worst cereal ever. It would cut the roof of your mouth, and you didn't even get like good flavor for it. It was just gross.
No, I just stuck to my Fruity Pebbles and Cinnamon Toast Crunch growing up.
I'm still a shredded
So
frosted mini wheats. That's my favorite cereal.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I will say one last thing about the Mario cereal. The fact that it's kind of funny that neither of us have been able to find it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, it's a Nintendo product, so are they trying to create artificial demand for the cereal?
I was expecting to I went in there. It was supposed to be released on, when was it supposed to be released? Like December 8th or something like that? I think the official...
Oh, it says early as December 11th.
Yeah, December 11th, which actually, what is today?
Which is today's the 10th.
Oh, that's tomorrow.
So that's why we couldn't
find I could have sworn, I read this article like a week ago, and I could have sworn that it said it was going to be released on the 8th. So no wonder we couldn't find it. It's not even out yet.
Well, everybody who's listening to the audio version, it will be out. So go get Super Mario cereal.
And one more thing in our news for this week. This was actually, last week was Nintendo's eShop's busiest release week yet. From Majora's Mask style puzzle games to breakdancing to wrestling. And this is on Polygon.com. Never say that December is a dry month for new games. That's certainly not true for the Nintendo Switch, which receives 22 titles to the eShop between today, December 7th, and December 12th. That marks the highest number of new games to hit the Nintendo eShop at once so far. Just talks about some of the games that are coming out. There's Sexy Brutale, A Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask style murder mystery, Floor Kids, Vostok Inc., and WWE 2K18. And so there's a lot of titles coming out. Here's the full lineup if you want to go to the Polygon article. God, there's so many. Let's see, Phantom Breaker, Human Fall Flat. Let's see, Robonauts. I don't even know what most of this stuff is, but I'd like to check some of it out. I kind of like the name of the Sexy Brutale. I might have to check that out. Plague Road. There's a bunch of games coming out this month.
That's awesome, though, that they're releasing. Like, it's good that their eShop is busy because it shows that they're actually putting effort into it.
I'm ready for the Switch Online to launch. As soon as that launches, I am going to buy a full year's subscription for it.
Oh, absolutely. But no, that's good. That's good for Nintendo on doing that.
But that's going to bring us into this month in video game history. In December of 1982, Namco releases Xevious, which sets the style for scrolling shooters to come. And I think that we talked about... I remember us talking about this last year around this time.
It does sound very familiar.
Yeah, I remember us talking about this. And this is actually very much like if you ever played games like 1942... or River Raid, those type of games. That's the type of game this is, and I guess this is pretty much the granddaddy of those type of scrolling shooters that, like Galaga and things like that.
Yeah. Let's see. December 31st, 1982, Gottlieb releases Q*bert. Yeah, who's never not heard of Q*bert?
He's the video game guy that curses all the time.
Yeah. He was politically incorrect before it was cool.
And also, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't have, I briefly played Q*bert, but, I recognize, he's kind of an underrated iconic character in video games.
He was pretty big back in the day. I mean, not he wasn't exactly on the level of like Pac-Man or Mario, but he was definitely a recognizable character that I think probably could have made the transition to the Nintendo and beyond, but he just kind of got left in the Atari era, which is a shame because that was actually a really good game.
He was actually one of the cooler characters in the movie Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh yeah,
if you've seen that.
That's a great movie. And also, December of 1982, Atari releases Dun 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 E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Written in 5.5 weeks, it's one of the games that sparks the video game crash of 1983.
We should review this game.
There's nothing to review. Trust me, I still have my copy of it. I got it for Christmas that year. Going into 1980 or the Christmas of 82, my brother got the actual Atari 52 or 2600, and my parents got ET for it. And God, what an awful game that was! It was epically horrible.
Like not even so bad that it's good.
No, it's awful. There's nothing redeemable about that game. It's the worst thing ever. It's worse the Scorn.
Ugh. I mean, I've heard like how awful it is. I've never played it, obviously, but yeah, it's one of those games it's historically bad. Like when you think of bad video games, this is always one of, if not the first game that comes up.
And if you haven't seen it, look up the what do you know right offhand what the name of the documentary was about that?
I was just thinking about that. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'll look it up real quick.
The video game documentary. Whichever one of us gets there first.
Atari Game Over.
Yeah, Atari Game Over. And I think you can watch it right now. I know, did I watch it on Netflix or... Pretty sure it's on Netflix. If you can't find it on Netflix, it's definitely on Amazon or Hulu. But I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. But it's great.
Yeah. In December of 1983, Namco releases Pole Position 2, adding 3 additional tracks.
I remember Pole Position.
I remember hearing about it, never played it, but I have seen gameplay of it.
I think I had the port of it to the Atari 2600, or it might have been the first one. They were pretty easy games. I didn't play it too much in the arcade, but I do remember having them for the 2600. And coming up in December 4th of 1992, Mega Man 5 is released in Japan, and then on December 31st, it is released in the U.S. And was Mega Man 5 on the Yeah, it was I think it was the last one that was made on the NES before Mega Man. I think Mega Man 6 was for the Super Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't find that info.
Let's see. I mean, during the time frame sounds right, because I think the SNES came out in 91.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds right.
Yeah, let me look up Mega Man 6 just to make sure. 'Cause I'm pretty sure Mega Man 6. Not Maga Man. I don't want to make America great again, Man 6. No, actually, Mega Man 6 was on the Nintendo as well. When did it jump over to the Super Nintendo?
Maybe Mega Man 7?
Mega Man SNES. See what
Mega Man 7 was for the SNES.
Okay. I figured it was right around there somewhere. I knew it was in the early 90s they made the transition. Yep, Mega Man 7. And I don't know why that was important to me. I just felt the need to look that up.
Well, as a Mega Man fan, you gots to know.
Yeah, I guess to know.
Let's see. December 10th, 1993, ID Software releases Doom, a seminal first-person shooter that advances pseudo-3D graphics technology for computer games. Doom was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Back when it came out. I knew so many people that played it. I never did, but it's one of those games that I used to watch my uncle play after school.
Yeah.
It was a trendsetter. It was also the inspiration for a really shitty movie.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Even The Rock couldn't save that movie.
He even says that it sucks.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
I love Doom though. I have specific memories of playing Doom in my 11th grade computer class. If we got done with our work before the class was over, we could go and pick out of the big random box of floppy disks, and whoever got finished first got to pick Doom. So I was always the first guy to get done with my work.
Awesome.
And also on December 17th, oh look, a Sierra release. Sierra releases Gabriel Knight's Sins of the Fathers. But at least it's not a Quest game. This one's a different one.
You mean the Quest game of the week?
Yeah, the Quest game of the week. I don't really know what this is. I've never even heard of this before, but I'm pretty sure it's a point-and-click adventure.
It's got some pretty good voice acting in it. It's got Tim Curry, Mark Hamill, Michael Dorn.
Wow.
That's pretty wild.
I know. I've never even heard of this before.
I haven't either, but still, that's... Huh.
That's crazy.
And it's a point-and-click adventure. I've never heard of this, but getting those 3 names like that's pretty good.
Yeah. Awesome.
And closing out this month in video game history, on December 17th, 1993, Mega Man X is released in Japan for the SNES.
I don't remember Mega Man X. Is this the one that's universally lauded as not being very good? Let's see.
I'm trying to find critical reception of it, but it's not on the Wikipedia page.
I think this is the one that they kind of changed up the gameplay a bit, and they put a lot of unnecessary cutscenes in the game, and it made it very hard to play and very hard to get into it because there were a lot of unnecessary cutscenes, and then they changed up a lot of just the platforming mechanics of it. So they made too big of a change too fast.
Yeah. I've not really heard that much about Mega Man X. I remember reading about it in the old Nintendo Power, and I always thought the box art was some of the cooler looking Super Nintendo box art that they did. But as I've mentioned, Mega Man was one of those series that just kind of, I just never really got into.
Yeah. But that rounds us out for this month in video game history for this episode, and let Derek tell everybody about books.
So for you, the listeners of the Nerd Cave Retro podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I talked about my my critical review of Legends of Luke Skywalker. I have started the new, well, it's not new now, but the Captain Phasma book that kind of goes into her origin story. Still very early into it, so I can't really give, even like a real first impression of it, because the plot hasn't really got going yet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it in time for The Last Jedi, probably not, but I do look forward to hearing it, because I've heard good things about it for the most part. So, and she was a character that intrigued me when her info was released when The Force Awakens came out. So, definitely interested in checking that out. But they've got other Star Wars books like Bloodline, the Thrawn book. They've even got like a lot of the Legend series like Shadows of the Empire, Heir of the Empire. So many great Star Wars books, and they have books on gaming. Mystery, romance, fiction, nonfiction, sci-fi, every genre you can think of, Audible has. And if you're always on the go like I am, Audible is a great service to have to be able to continue to read books without having to sit down and actually read a physical book. So to do that, go to audibletrial.com/nerdcave. Again, that's audibletrial.com/nerdcave for your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial.
And this week we're talking about... I'm Batman. Batman Returns is a video game for various platforms based on the movie of the same name. The Sega console versions for the Mega Drive Genesis, the Mega CD, the Master System, and Sega Game Gear were published by Sega themselves, while the NES and Super NES versions were developed and published by Konami. There was an MS-DOS version as well, developed by Konami, or published by Konami and developed by Spirit of Discovery. The Amiga version was developed by Denton Designs and also published by Konami. And there was also an Atari Lynx version published by Atari. And I'm going to be talking about the Super Nintendo version, which I did go online and looked at the differences between the Super Nintendo and the Genesis version, and it was a completely different game, which I had no idea because I'd never seen the Sega Genesis game before. And the Sega Genesis game, it's more of a platformer and is a little more akin to the Batman NES, Batman the video game that I reviewed a couple months ago, which I really liked a lot. I think that game's great. It plays more like that one. It's more of a platformer. But the one for the Super Nintendo, and there are definitely, graphical differences too. Like the Sega Genesis versions, kind of the characters are smaller. It's a very dark game, very platformy. There's not a lot of detail and everything. But for the Super Nintendo version, it's basically Final Fight reskinned as a Batman game. It plays like Final Fight. It looks like Final Fight. It sounds like Final Fight. Not to say that's a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Which makes me think, whenever Arkham City came out, or Arkham Asylum a few years ago, everybody always talked about, Batman games were awful before this game. This is the quintessential, Batman game. I disagree. I think the NES Batman game is excellent, and I think this version of Batman, Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo, is absolutely worth the money and very playable and enjoyable. And you don't really do any detective work or anything like that. It's a straight side-scrolling beat 'em up. And it follows the movie pretty well. You get some really good cutscenes with this game. And as you heard with the music before we started the review here, it uses a lot of the Danny Elfman score for the movie. I actually like the game better than the movie, which is weird because I've only seen this movie all the way through one time, and it was in the theater. Wow. The first time I saw it. I've seen bits and pieces of it again over the years. I tried to watch it again a few years ago when it was streaming on Netflix. I can't get through it. There's just something. I don't know what
it's a little too Tim Burton-y.
Yeah, it's mean. If you get Batman straight up kills a dude in the first 5 minutes of the movie, using the afterburner to burn this poor guy alive. I know he's a bad guy and all, but come on, you don't burn a dude alive. I don't even know if he's dead, but he's definitely in a burn ward the rest of his life.
Yeah,
that's not Batman. And I think, and I was actually thinking about it a lot today. I think Tim Burton. As much I love the first Tim Burton Batman movie. I think the setting of that movie, the visuals of that movie are a comic book, the Batman comic book brought to life. I think that is the perfect, cinematic world for Batman to be in. It's almost like it's very surreal and very gothic and just, it's not too Tim Burton-y. And I think that's the problem with Batman Returns is when he did the first Batman, they kind of had a rein on him because he didn't have a lot of pull in Hollywood yet. But then that one made so much money, they were just like, okay, go do what you want for the second one. Ooh, and look what we got. It's gross. It's overlong. It's way too dark and stylized, and it just doesn't work for me. And I think that's, I really think that Tim Burton and, Zack Snyder kind of fall into the same category together. When they're doing their own stuff, they're not really good at character development. They're more visual directors. So when they're reined in, they create good content like The Watchmen or, 300 with Zack Snyder. But you give that dude the keys to the kingdom, you get Batman v Superman. And I think that's what happened with Tim Burton back in the day, too. Batman was a huge success. They let him have free reign for the second movie, and basically
it didn't work.
It did not work. I think they should have given him a third movie to correct his mistake, which I think Michael Keaton deserved a third go as Batman. But we ended up with Batman Forever, which is an okay movie, but we're not here to talk about Batman movies. I don't know why I got off onto that tangent.
We could go on all day for that.
Yeah. But, it follows the movie really well, and it's a straight beat 'em up. There's not a lot of nuance to this game. But, the graphics are awesome on this game.
Yes.
The controls, if you think the controls for Final Fight are great and tight, that's exactly the way it is for this game. You do get one special thing. It's called a test tube, to where if you get overwhelmed on the screen, you can wipe out all enemies on screen with the test tube. You just throw it on the ground and it just kind of wipes out everything on the screen. And as you're going through the game, I think the second level of this game, I actually put a picture of it up on the Nerd Cave Retro Instagram site last night. There's a shot of Batman where you're going through this level. The very first level you're going through the streets of Gotham, and it plays a lot like Final Fight, where you kind of can go kind of up and down. It's kind of almost a 3/4 view, where you're going through and you're just beating everybody up. But then the second level you get to, it's more of a straight on. and you're not really you actually using batarangs, so it plays more like a shooter in the second level. And on that level, in the background is this huge Christmas tree in the background with the two big gothic gothic looking statues on either side of the tree, and it just visually, like, you're just watching Batman fight these weird, circus clowns. It's like, it's just this really weird, surreal setting, and it makes for an awesome video game setting.
Yeah. No, the first thing that I noticed, because I've never played any of the old Batman games, I love the graphics for the SNES version. Like, I love that style of 16-bit, because I think that style, and we've talked about this on multiple episodes, that style still holds up. You see a lot of current indie games that are made in that style. So that was instantly the thing that drew me to that. But one question I did have, because I didn't play any of the old Batman games, why was the perception that they were awful?
I don't really know. Because even, back in the day, I'd never had this game. I didn't get this game till like a couple of years ago, but I did rent it a couple of times back in the day. I always thought it was a good game, and I've never played the Batman the animated series game for the Super Nintendo. I'd like to get it and play it, but I never really thought any of the Batman games were bad before Arkham Asylum came out, which I think Arkham Asylum is one of the best games of the last decade or so, but doesn't take away from these. I mean, they're completely different type of games. The combat in these games, are you're punching and kicking and using your batarangs. You're using your cape. You use your grappling hook in some of the levels. You can pretty much use it on any level, but there's a lot of levels where you have to use the grappling hook. I mean, it's Batman. You're playing Batman in these games. Oops. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. No, but this does look like a fun, side scroller type game. Because like I have no issue with those, because I love the classic Ninja Turtles games. The first thing that I thought of was the Power Ranger game that I played for Super Nintendo. Like, it looks like it plays exactly like that. So this seems like something that would be right up my alley. And it being, following the movie is, I actually like games like that. Because do you get any new information? Not really, but still going through the whole movie to me is still kind of cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it takes it utilizes everything that the Super Nintendo could offer. The music was great. The big sprite-based graphics, big sprite, colorful graphics on the screen. And it used the Mode 7, which later in the game you actually get to drive the Batmobile through the streets of Gotham. And, at the time, I mean, it still looks good to this day, that sequence. And there's breakable environments in this game where you're going through, and in the background there are storefronts, and you can take people and throw them through the window of the storefronts and break the glass and everything. And like, that wasn't normally done back then, like breakable environments and things like that. So I mean, this is, you get to go through this game and a lot of different, some of the bosses are actually from the movie. Like when you first run across Selena Kyle, and she's being held captive by the clown guy, and first thing you do is you shoot the wall behind him with your grappling gun and hit him in the back of the head with a big chunk of wall. That's straight out of the movie. And then you go through and you actually get to fight Catwoman on the roof. You fight the Riddler, the Penguin several times throughout the game. And then he's the big final boss that you fight in the game. And like I said, you get to drive the Batmobile. This game's got it all. And it's fun to play. It looks great. It sounds great. And on a scale of 1 to 10, this is getting a 9.
Wow.
I mean,
that's high praise.
It does get repetitive. I'm going to admit that. It gets really repetitive. But then again, so does Final Fight. Most of these side scrollers, like, Double Dragon and all these side-scrolling beat 'em ups, they're all very repetitive, but that just kind of comes with the territory of these games. And that's what they were back in the day. You're not going to have, they create these sprite-based characters. They're going to reuse them a lot throughout the game, so that happens. But this game's just straight up fun.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it. And like you said, that the repetitiveness, that's kind of the drawback of that genre, is that it's going to be that way.
Yeah.
So and that you take that, what you get.
And I really would have been interested to see this style of game, like the way this game looks, but with the platforming elements of the Batman, the video game for the NES, because, Batman moved very quickly and did, the wall jumps like on Ninja Gaiden and things like that. I would love to see that sort of game using, this game engine, with these big characters like that and all the stuff you could do. But, it is what it is. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's not a platformer. But, people that say there were no good Batman games before Arkham City, they're just wrong.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
You're all wrong. It was actually an award that it got from Electronic Gaming Monthly. It was the best licensed game of 1992, and that doesn't sound like a bad game to me.
I'm going to say it was one of the best licensed games ever made. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great movie, but it's a great video game.
Yeah.
So take that for what you will. I mean, there's probably people out there that love this movie that's like, you're wrong, you suck. And I'm like, you know what? That's just my opinion. I love the first Batman movie. I just can't. Something about the second one just rubs me wrong.
Well, no lie, what you described as your opinion of the first and second Tim Burton movies, I've been telling people that since I was in high school. So I'm right there with you. I've always thought that. Like, I don't hate Batman Returns, but it's a little too Tim Burton-y for my taste. Love the first one because it adds in a little bit of his style, but you were right. It's like, it was like the comic book came to life, just like the look of the buildings, because it almost had that kind of like, I feel like I was in the 1940s.
Yeah, very.
Even though you clearly weren't, but it kind of felt that way.
But even though it was this huge city, it still felt claustrophobic. You felt dirty, like you were there. Like the streets were always moist, and the buildings just look old, and like there's these big Gothic statues everywhere, and it's like, where the hell is this city where it's like it's always like, even in the daytime it's dark, like where is this place at on Earth? Like there's no place like this.
And then you go to the Joel Schumacher movies, and Gotham's like obnoxiously huge.
Yeah, and it's all full of neon, and there's nipples on the bat suit, and I'm like, what the hell happened?
Bad cold puns and all that fun stuff.
I still see you. Awful.
Good stuff.
If I could find the Batman Forever for the Super Nintendo, I'd like to get it, but I know for a fact that one's not good, because I do remember renting that one weekend when I was a kid, and I think I maybe played it for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. This is awful. Because it's not, it doesn't have the look of this game, where it's kind of cartoony. It's more, has that look of like Mortal Kombat, where it's like an actual digitized version of the Batman, and like it looks like real people but digitized. It's just kind of doesn't work. Like it's very, very dated looking.
Sounds gross.
Yeah, but when you go back and you look at this game's going to hold up for, forever, because it's very stylized. And that's, it's what we were talking about last week with the Legend of Zelda. I never want to see a realistic looking Zelda game. I like Breath of the Wild, where it's a realistic looking world. but very stylized, cartoony characters. It works for me.
Yeah. No, I
Speaking
totally
of-
agree.
And speaking of which, we didn't actually cover this. I finished Breath of the Wild last night. And I have a complaint.
What'd you think of the... I wonder if it's the same one I had.
That there's no save after you defeat Ganon. Like, what the
Yep.
hell? There's no record of me beating this game at all.
Well, I have one other complaint. I did not care for the final phase of the battle. To me,
yeah.
it was very anticlimactic. Like the first phase I
Yeah,
loved.
I could have done without that
because-
whole second part. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just too different than the first one. And just the way it ends is just like, oh, you beat the game.
Yeah, and that's after the first phase of the fight feels really satisfying. Like, I put a lot I broke my Hylian shield in that fight. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I'd sacrificed some really cool weapons to get through that fight. And then it's like, oh, I got to fight him again and I have to use a magic bow and arrow and use my horse, which my horse got killed in the fight because he got
It always
stomped
breaks my
on.
heart when that happens.
He got stomped on and died, and he was my first horse that I got in the game, and it made me angry.
Yeah, my first horse was shot down by a guardian.
Oh,
It was a
that
sad day.
sucks. But yeah, that was my biggest complaint. Is like afterwards, I was like, "Oh, cool! I get to go back through and just kind of go do all my other stuff now." No, it takes you right back to the save right before you go into the actual throne room where you fight Ganon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What is this happy horse shit?"
Exactly. Now, to kind of go off on that, there is new DLC out that I've downloaded. It's called the Champions Pack. I haven't started that story mode yet, but you have to beat all 4 of the Divine Beast, and you go back to the Chamber of Resurrection and put your Sheikah slate in its original terminal.
Yeah.
And that's where the story happens. I haven't read anything about it because I want to just like have it unfold.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to know anything about it before I do it.
That's cool.
But I know it has a lot to do with the 4 champions of the Divine Beast. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let me know how it is, because I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to Super Mario Odyssey, and I might ask Tina for Rocket League for Christmas and start playing
Rocket
some
League's
other
so
stuff.
fun.
Because Tina woke up at it was about midnight last night. She woke up and she looked at the TV and she was like, "Haven't you beaten this game yet?" Like, yeah, I did, but I'm going back through and doing my all the stuff I missed. She was like, "Oh, okay." Like, yeah.
That's what I do with Zelda too. I go through and I'll beat the story and then go back and do all the side quests and everything.
Yeah.
But if you get Odyssey anytime soon, definitely let me know how it is, because that game is so fun.
Oh, I will.
And I know
I'll
you'll
plan
love
on
it.
I'm gonna get it for my holiday, my my week and a half off, because I'm gonna need something to play.
You'll love it. I guarantee it.
Awesome. Well, that does it for our talk on Batman Returns, the video game for the Super Nintendo. I highly recommend it. If you find a copy of it, pick it up because it's awesome. But that's going to do it for this week. So, Derek, anything you want to discuss before we get out of here?
Yes, 2 things. First, this week for the Derek Diamond Experience, I'm going to be doing a pre and post Star Wars The Last Jedi episode.
Oh.
So me and a bunch of friends are going to the 9:30 showing, because it's weird because the first IMAX showing they're doing here in town isn't till 9:30 at night, which I find to be kind of interesting.
Okay.
So we're doing like a Last Jedi preview. So I'm going to take the audio from it, and then as soon as the movie's over, we're going to come back to my place, do our immediate reactions to it, and then I'm going to combine the 2 and put it, I'm going to put it out as an episode.
Yeah.
So the episode will be out like late Thursday, early Friday instead of Thursday morning. And the other thing I will say is this to people who like to post spoilers online. There are very few things in this world that are sacred to me. Star Wars is one of those things.
Yeah, same here.
Now, starting on Monday, I'm going to do a Facebook and Twitter blackout.
Mm-hmm.
But if anyone decides to spoil it for me in person, I'm going to hurt you.
Me and Derek will hunt you down.
Yes.
And we'll have you remember that scene in Office Space when they take the printer out to the middle of the field and they just destroy it with a baseball bat in slow motion? That's going to be me and Derek with you if you spoil Star Wars for us online.
It's not cool. You're not funny. You're not witty. You're just a dick.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
So that's my message. Do not spoil Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. What? Excuse me. What's cool with my theater here in town is that all the showings are spaced out where, like, so say the first showing I think is at like 7:30, and then the next one's at 9:30, and the movie's like 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So the way that the showings are spaced out, it's like, you go in one while the other one's going on, and then the other one finishes, and you go into another one while the other one's going on. So it's like you're not meeting people who are leaving the theater seeing Star Wars.
Yeah,
so hopefully they've eliminated that horse shit.
That's the way they did it for us too. I think there's a 7 o'clock and a 7:30 showing, and we got the 7:30 showing, and I think the next showing is at like 9:30 and 10. So they're staggered, like that.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea.
So I don't know if we're gonna do the reactions live on Facebook, just because it's going to be super late when we're done. But either way, we'll be doing a Star Wars The Last Jedi special for this week's Derek Diamond Experience. And actually, something you'll be interested in is that on the 23rd of this month, I will be doing a special episode of the Derek Diamond Experience dedicated to Jeremy London's acting class.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be Jeremy's doing a class here in town on the 23rd, so I'll have him and several other people from his class, that's held here in town, just talking about his class, kind of the film community we have here in town. That'll be on Saturday, December 23rd. I think we're going to start at 3:15 in the afternoon, and then wrap up around 5 because that's when the class starts. So
Cool.
Definitely check that out. It's going to be a huge panel. I think we're going to have like 10 people on it.
Wow.
Which is going to be kind of wild. But it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, cool. And I forgot to tell everybody, too, I'm going to be out of town next weekend, and I will be back Sunday evening, but I'm not sure what time I'm going to be back. So the show for next week may be pushed back a day. I forgot to talk to you about this before we did this tonight. So next week, if we don't get to record Sunday night, it'll have to be Monday evening, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, we'll work it out.
Okay, because I'm actually going out of town, going to visit my brother for the holidays for a few days, but I will be back that Sunday evening. So if you watch us on Twitch or anything like that, we hopefully will be back, but I'll let everybody know on Twitter if it's going to be pushed back to Monday. So Derek might actually have to take care of the Google Docs for this week and put all the stuff in there for the
Hey, that's no problem.
Okay. Thank you. So I don't want to have to worry about that while I'm out of town.
No, I'll take care of it.
And actually, we did a really good episode of the Pop Culture Palette this last week as well. My old bass player from the band Fall as well, Mikey Boucher, was on the show. And we talk about when we were assigned to Universal Records. And we were touring with Three Doors Down. And this was from the years of 2001 or 2 to 2000. We broke up in early 2006. So we just kind of go through our whole career and what, the whole weirdness that was the music business around that time, with illegal downloading at its height and all that kind of stuff, and how that affected us as a band, how it affected the music industry around us. So it was a really good show. Go over there and check it out. Well, you can find us on Twitter at PCP Show, or you can go to PCPradio.com to get that episode. It's called Lazy Eye, the turning point of the music industry. So it was a really good episode. Go check that out. So I think that's going to do it for this week. So do you have anything else, Derek, or are we good to go?
I am good to go, sir.
All right, let me turn up our music here. If you would like to email us, we're at nerdcaveretro@gmail.com. You can go to nerdcaveretro.com. We're on Instagram and Twitter at nerdcaveretro. You can follow us individually on Twitter at jfunktastic and at Derek_Diamond. And we're also on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdcaveretro. So Derek, tell them what it's all about.
May the way of the hero lead to the Triforce.
You've been listening to a Nerd Cave Network production.
All right, that wraps her up for tonight. And I think it is time to say goodbye and thank you to Twitch for tonight. And we will see you next week. And have a good week, people.